Hey, it's Taisha, and today I want to talk to you about just going over what I observed with the death of Atatiana Jefferson. So recently, I explained in a whole video that I was a police officer back in Virginia. So a lot of my subscribers and friends have reached out for my opinion. What did I notice? Things like that. Now, I'm not an attorney. I wasn't there on scene, things like that, nor am I, you know, trying to stir up emotions and things like that in everyone. But what I want to accomplish in this video is just, bring some things to the table. One thing that I've noticed that in recent times, when it comes to use of force and use of firearms on unarmed citizens, it really bothers me. It really do. And I am a citizen, and I exercise my Second Amendment right as well. So it's just some things that came up that, I had to wait until my emotions subsided, because to see this story, to see how this played out, it's like, wow, we should not have lost her. So getting right into it, I spent the majority of my patrol years on midnight shift. So there's certain things that come with just being a police officer. One of the qualities that you have to have is common sense. And one thing that like I said, if this was my call that I was dispatched to at 2 o'clock in the morning in Texas, when I was reading the article on NPR, and I'll link that in the description, I may put some screenshots in here as well so you can follow along. Just given the total picture, the whole picture, and just some things that just did not seem right. I don't know if my sentences and my thoughts would be kind of broken up, because making this video public and things like that, I'll face a lot of scrutiny and things like that, but I hope to bring a common sense approach to this. Just receiving that dispatch at 2 o'clock in the morning about a home that has an open door with all the lights on. Okay, it's 2 o'clock in the morning. Where do people go at 2 o'clock in the morning? They go home. But I'm going to even take it a step back with the neighbor who called it in. Okay, this neighbor that called it in, where were you? Why aren't you so familiar with your neighbors that you can just walk over there and check on them? As neighbors, we all know neighbors are so busy. Like, what were you doing up at 2 o'clock in the morning? I want to ask him that. What were you doing up at 2 o'clock in the morning? And plus, it's a weekend. So that's like a double check marks that people are home, occupying their homes. The first thing I did was I went to Yahoo Weather, and I looked at the weather in Texas. Of course, we all know, and it's common that Texas is hot. That's one of the hottest places, in this country. And when I went and checked out the weather, I'm like, okay, it was 80 degrees, approximately 80 degrees that day, and it got down to in the 50s at night. Okay, so your house is heating up all day, and then at night you want to get that cool breeze to come through. That would explain why, all the doors are open, things like that, and all the lights are on. It's 2 o'clock in the morning. Okay, I wanted to make it like I'm home. And plus, when I looked at the home, it's a rancher, so they don't have the option of having a second floor and open up all the windows while keeping the first floor integrity intact, while keeping the doors and windows closed. No, it's a rancher. I own a rancher. Okay, the neighbors should just use common sense and mind their own fucking business. And I don't mean to say fucking, but then they should mind their own business. But if you want to be a neighbor and you're concerned, you know that there's an older woman who lives there who has medical issues, and there's a young lady and a child that lives there. Why are you so intimidated to go over there and knock on the door and see how your neighbors are doing before you send the police over there? You don't hear screaming. You don't hear the smoke detector going off? Because that would have been another thing. I thought, like, well, maybe, they start cooking at nighttime and something didn't smell right, so they try to vent all the smoke out or whatever, or the odor out. Okay, now let's get to the dispatch. Okay, I must say, when I worked in Newport News, we had some great dispatchers. I've been in different cities. I just must say that our dispatchers were really good. They got all the information to put out to the officer before, you even had to ask another question. So receiving that call, like, okay, people call all the time, like, this is suspicious person, this is that. Okay, now, Is this coming from a person that wants to identify themselves so that officers can meet with them and say, hey, why is this suspicious? What do you know about this property? What do you know about your neighbors? But if it's just an anonymous, like, I don't want to be, I don't want to identify myself, I want to just send somebody over there. Okay, you kind of, don't take it with as much credibility. Okay, so as an officer receiving that, I'm going to ask dispatch, do we have a call history at this residence? Okay, do we have a history of, 911 hangups, medical calls, whatever? I'm going to ask for a history. And then, being the community officer that I am, I've driven up and down the street. I've driven past this house plenty of times. I know what my neighborhood looks like. I've met with my neighbors. Okay, so when you pull up to the street, you mark arrived. You don't park directly in front of the house. You park a few houses down. And you just observe and see what's going on. Do you see any odd cars? Do you see anybody sitting in a car possibly waiting as a getaway driver if it was a burglary? Like, are you noticing these things as you're driving up? No. You just get out and you listen. Do you hear dogs barking? Do you hear different things? Do you hear an alarm? No. Okay, so I'm going to walk up because there's a chance that someone's home. If this house was not on my patrol checklist, when people call the police and say, hey, I'm going out of town, I would like increased patrols at my residence. If it's not on my patrol list, okay, I'm going to approach it. Okay, someone lives there. And when I looked at the news video, and I'll probably put a still picture, I noticed there was a car in the driveway, or the driveway that had the awning over it. And the car appears to be functional. It's not how people keep an old hoopty in a driveway. It didn't appear to be an old hoopty. I'm like, okay, that car is functional. I would have paused, called in the plate, and see if that vehicle returned back to their residence, because it's apparent the resident lives there and still living. This is not a vacant house. You don't see a for sale sign out front, nothing. Okay, you see an open screen door with the lights on. Apparently someone lives there. Someone is occupying it. When you have an open door, okay, you have an open door. I don't know where the fear comes in that. Yes, you're going to use caution, but you shouldn't be scared. I don't get the fear that made a firearm come out. Okay, so common sense. I'm going to walk to the front door because apparently someone opened it, and you're going to listen. Okay, I hear a TV on, or I'm not saying that's what came out, but like, I hear there's obvious activity in there. No one, I won't say no one, but it's very rare that if someone is in a residence doing something illegal, they're not gonna do it at the time where people are most likely to be home, but then also cut all the lights on, and open up the doors and windows. So you're gonna knock on the door, announce yourself. You don't even knock. Fort Worth police, anyone's in here, come to the door, just call out, hey, is anyone in here? And someone's going to come to you and say, hey, you're going to see them in probably leisure clothes. They're going to come like, hey, what's going on? They're going to be scared as hell because they're not expecting the police to show up. And I'm just like, wow, why were they in the backyard? Why go through that unknown in the backyard? It could be a dog back there. And plus, this is Texas. Who isn't born with a birth certificate and a firearm? Okay, I'm going to exercise the highest precaution because I don't want to alarm the people inside. That's not what you're there for. When I'm watching this, I'm like, who taught these tactics? Who taught them this? Who approached like that? If you're scared, I'm sorry, you should not have picked this profession. It's not there for you to be scared and go for your gun all the time. This is not Call of Duty copping, okay? You use common sense, you use your tactics. So it brings into question, what are the tactics? What I don't know, what is being trained, what is being taught to the officers to approach things like this? You have to use common sense. It takes a bit of personality. It takes a bit of, I don't know, I can't explain it, to be successful as a police officer. You can't just do what you want to do. You can't just say, I wear the blue and I have the badge and I say so. That's not how you do it. When it comes to the window, I don't know if I would have even gotten to a window. There was a door that's open. I'm going to make contact with whoever's in there, but I've already verified that there's a vehicle in the driveway. that is possibly registered. It was still there the next day when the news showed up. So that's the resident's vehicle. I don't see why Tatiana Jefferson should have lost her life that night. I do not see why. That was so uncalled for. It really is. What gave you the right to be in the backyard? There's nothing that was saying foul play. Nothing. I don't get it. That's just where I'm at. My heart goes out to Tatiana Jefferson and her family. That was just totally, and then it just rehashes old wounds. Sandra Bland, she should not have lost her life as a result of that traffic stop. When I think about Pam Turner, she should not have lost her life sitting on that sidewalk. Had she had a warrant, okay, I'm not gonna go cowboy cop and go approach her by myself. I'm gonna wait till I get some other people there and possibly somebody who has a rapport with her. And my thing of it is, yes, I've been I've been in street fights. I've had to use force to effect an arrest, but I absolutely love talking people into handcuffs. It worked better for all of us. And the thing of it is, you still have to come back to that city and work. I lived and worked in the same city. You're going to see these people again. When you fill out their booking cards, you're going to see where they work at. It's not cool to be like, oh, I just arrested this person here and this officer treated them like shit. Now we can't go eat there anymore. Or now I have to go to the next city just to go grocery shopping because I can't go back to Food Lion because they got into it with somebody there. Or I can't go there in uniform. Well, so it's really, really, really wild. I really encourage more Black people to join the police department. I really do. People are gonna be like, oh hell no, you out of your goddamn mind. I ain't joining the pigs and stuff like that. But that's my thing. You won't see change unless you're there affecting the change. You won't. And I would say I would much rather get pulled over by an officer like myself than the officer that pulled over Sandra Bland. But that won't happen unless you join. I really do. So I really encourage more of us to join the police department because we know our communities, we know our people. We don't have a fear of as soon as you see, a Black person, you all of a sudden, get scared. I mean, there are people, think about it. I live here in Washington, and there are some people who said they have never really came in contact with Black people, and I'm like, wow. So in the area I live at, there's a Coast Guard base, there's Army and Air Force, Navy, there's pretty much all the branches, Marine Corps. A lot of people are local from here, and then they get stationed elsewhere, and they've never really dealt with Black people. That's why when I say some people act like they never saw Black people before, it's true. I really encourage more of us to join the police department. I really do. The police department, firefighters, be more to be more of a face and present the numbers in these areas. I really do. And the most important thing you bring to the table is that you have firsthand knowledge and wisdom and experience of what it's like to be in our community. Okay? And they can't put that into a textbook and teach anybody else. They can't, make a AI system to put this robot out there like Demolition Man and mimic being in our communities. It's us. Okay? My heart goes out to Miss Jefferson and her family. And I hope that justice is served in this and it is applied appropriately. That's all I got to say about that. Like I said, I'm happy that I came out and talked more about being a police officer, and I just that's just what I want to do, is just educate the citizens, educate the public, and give more of an insight since I've had time over there, wearing the uniform, and also I was born a Black woman. And that's what I want to get forth and put out to everybody. So leave your comments below, and I will see you on the next video.